Hi, welcome back. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Today we're going to work on this Hitachi air compressor. It has a switch that doesn't work. It stays on all the time. We were using it in our sterilization area to blow out hollow instruments such as tubing and cannulas, and it just stays on all the time and I think has a leak. So the first thing I want to do is take the cover off, which is very sticky, and really wash it with some Dawn detergent to get all of that grease and stickiness out of there to really restore it. That's the first step, and then we're going to look right at this switch that's in here. Here's the problem. When we plug it in, it's on and doesn't turn off. Let me demonstrate that. Now I can push and hold this. It has a leak too, I think I can hear it. But as soon as I let go, it fires back up and will not turn off. So there, I have to push it down and you can hear that leak. So we've got a couple issues that we need to deal with. Let's take this cover off and wash it. Okay, I've taken the screws out that hold it, and here's the cover, which we're going to clean up, and here's the switch. We're going to look at that, and I try to turn it off, but it immediately opens back up. So we're going to take this cover off and look at it once I get this cleaned. What we've got here is some Dawn Platinum Power Wash. We're going to be able to degrease this, and I've got this now nice and warm, the water. We're going to hose it down. Degrease this whole darn thing. The sponge and get all the grease off of it. Okay, let's try it again. Just to quick plug it in. Again, this is the switch. I think the switch is bad and it also has a leak. We'll have to deal with both those issues. Okay, off. But as soon as I let go, it turns back on again, and listen to that leak. All right, let's take this thing apart. I'm going to release this, and we're going to release this. This is this nut is a 19 millimeter, and this is an 11 millimeter. There we go. Okay, now I have this unplugged because now we're going to get into the electrical part. So be certain it's unplugged, and let's take a look at the replacement part I have. A new switch, Amazon or eBay, readily available. And we're going to get into both of these. Here's that switch. This one now will stay locked and unlocked. It has a pressure release valve here, which this also does. There's a little cap here we'll remove. And then using this Phillips screwdriver, yep, there's a screw down there. We'll be able to take the cover off. And then here's the wiring. Again, you've got the electric coming in here, and when the switch is closed, the electric going out here, which goes to the motor. And you can see the wiring here, and we'll wire it to this one identically. Okay, we're going to loosen these and disconnect these wires and connect it to the new switch in exactly the same way it's connected here. First thing we're going to do is loosen these nuts so that the wire goes through here easily, and we'll loosen the ones on the new switch, and then once the wires were in place, we'll tighten it. So I've loosened the nut here. This is ground. Up the black wire and white wire here, they come out, and then this wire that goes to the motor should be able to just come right through this area here. So we'll loosen the capture nuts on each side. Just barely have them in. There we go. We'll put the wires back through. There we go, 1, 2, 3. Pull that through, position the wire so it's nice and generous, and then tighten down the captured nut here, holding the wire in place. So I've tightened this by hand, and now we'll use the 19mm wrench to really secure this thing. There we go. That's not going anywhere. Now we'll reconnect our 3 wires. I'm reusing this capture nut for the ground wire. Took that off the first switch, and we'll just put that beneath here and tighten that up. Good. So the ground wire is connected. Now for the white one and the black one. I've loosened it. There's the white wire. There's the black wire. And basically now we've got the wiring half done. Okay, I've taken the ground wire off. This is on the lead inside, and disconnected these 2 wires, and now we'll feed that wire through. And now this wire will go into this directly. This is the power lead in. Have this taper toward the entry area. There we go. Now this will come into play here. Okay, the wiring is complete. We have the in-feed wire from the plug, ground, the out-feed wire, ground, white hot, white black, white black. And these are nice and secure, and so the wiring's done. Now, to take a look, and we're going to connect the other parts. We're going to remove this section. I'm going to, because this is how it goes. You can compare them. So I need to remove this piece, this valve, this gauge, pressure gauge, and this entire area after this setting. We're going to take this to the vise, see if we can unscrew it. When it comes to heating up parts, you've got a number of options. These are 2. Propane, MAP gas. And the MAP gas has 2 different types of burners. This is the T3400. This heats twice as fast as the other burner. This gets really hot, really fast, so this has become my preference. This will work, probably work today, because we're heating basically a die-cast part. This is probably zinc, so it should heat up pretty well, pretty quickly. But we'll just put the MAP gas to it because that's tried and true and really fast. Okay, we're going to turn this baby on. Heat it up. Work on taking this first plug out. That may be enough. This is a 14mm brass plug. Can't get it to budge yet. Heat it up some more. Okay, it's pretty hot. Let's see if it gives now. There it goes. Beautiful. Don't really want to touch that, but there it comes. Heat is our friend. Because what that does, it preferentially expands this outer part and helps to melt that Loctite or other material that was in there. Heat it up a little bit more. Alright, we'll see if we can budge it. There we go, good job. Heat is our friend. Pretty hot. Alright, let that sit and cool off. Alright. Now we want to get the pressure relief valve off. It's not quite ready yet. Get the vice grip positioned. We'll heat it up. Alright, we'll see. Right, there it goes. Heat is our friend. Try to get this last part off. Alright, here we go. All right. Will be this direction. And this will go into this hole here. This is upside down now. The two electrical leads here, and then the connection to the compressor or to the air tank right here. 14mm brass plug. Teflon tape in the direction in which we're going to turn it. Start it. And I have this nut already on, so it's going to connect to the air compressor. So I've tightened the wrench onto it. And we're going to turn it so it's very secure. I've got the Teflon tape already on it. And I've got this nut with this flange here. We're going to protect those. We're not going to touch those with the jaws of this vice grip. We're going to keep their integrity. Okay, this will probably be the last bit of tightening. That's good. This pressure gauge is not in the best shape. I will probably someday replace it, but I don't have a replacement for it right now. But we'll put it in here and get it tightened up. The most important gauge is actually the secondary gauge, because it shows the pressure that goes out into the line. Yeah, this tells the pressure inside the tank, which is important for sure, but this is the most important because if you want to run something at 120 or 90, you adjust it here so you don't overpressurize it. Depends on the tool. All are a little bit different. Put it on here. That. So the next thing I'd like to do is put the cover back on. Where it fits in this way. these ground wires out of the way. There it goes. Tighten the screw. Okay, let's plug it in and see what happens. Plugged in now. Well, it turns on and off great, but I'm concerned I have a pressure leak. So we're kind of narrowing it down to where the leak is now. This air pressure gauge is really in bad shape, so I purchased a new one. And I also got a pressure relief valve, so I'm going to take that one off too. So to remove these, I think these take an 11mm wrench. There it comes off. This one's really in bad shape. It needs to go. Put that in there. And get that started. There it goes. And we'll just tighten it up. This takes a little bit larger wrench to tighten this one up. 14mm. Now to take the pressure relief valve off, we'll have to take this off temporarily. Take that off. And we'll get in here. And take off that pressure relief valve. Nope, it is a 14. No, I think it takes a 13. Air pressure gauge. This is the output, what you're getting in this line, and it's based on this knob. Put that in there. I think this is a 12. I could be wrong. Yep, 12. That should do it. So once we replaced the switch, that was great, but there was an air leak. And we traced the air leak down to two areas. One, the regulator, and two, the quick connect. I took these completely apart, ran them through a heated ultrasonic bath, and put them back together, and you know, I just don't think they look that great, and I could never get the quick connect to close, so we're going to replace that with this one, and I've got a new valve here which we're going to take apart and utilize. Here's the valve, some tape, there's the gauge, here's a quick connect and a coupler. We're not going to use that, we've got our own. And then if we were to need these, a couple of threaded adapters, and then this is to mount it. If we ever wanted to mount this, we could mount it. Well, I'm so excited. I just received my 2 replacement parts from E-Replacement Part, Hitachi, and this is the most important one, the non-return valve. All right. That was the one that was terribly destroyed, and here it is, and I can hear it. It's going to be great. Okay, let's spend a minute and talk about Teflon tape. Teflon tape is a great seal for plumbing, and the key is that you don't want to put it over the opening So you want to keep it about 1 thread back, and you want to wind it in the same direction that the fitting is going to be wound onto it. So that would be basically in this direction. But you keep it back about 1 or 2 threads, because otherwise some of the Teflon tape is going to get in here and it can cause some problems. So there we've got a nice wrap of Teflon tape. Let's install it. So this is going to fit in here. Let's move this out of the way. Probably one more good turn should do it. Piping and this nut that will secure that very nicely. This area is where the switch fits, and the switch will fit right on that. Like this. A 19 millimeter wrench. So there, that's nice and secured. Now we need to tighten this area up. 17 millimeter. This is the other end of the tube that comes right out of the top of the piston where the air is being compressed. So our final connection is this last hose, and it fits up into the switch here with a compression fitting, and it's a little bit of a tight fit. There we get it. And that takes an 11 millimeter wrench. Oh, 12 millimeter. Yep. Then this final connection is an 11 millimeter. I did go add an extra tube here in case I needed it, but I don't think I'll need it, so we're going to hold off. But this needs to be airtight. This is a compression fitting, so is this, and so is this. Okay, now at this point, it should work. Let's see if it does. Okay, it's plugged in, and again, we've replaced the no reflow valve. We've replaced these pressure valves. I've replaced the pressure controller and the connection, as well as the switch. The tank has been cleaned out beautifully. The motor, condenser, and the pump itself are all fine. Here we go. Here goes the pressure, it's coming up. And no leak. Oh, yay! So we have done it now. Okay, it auto shut off at about 110 psi, which is great. And you can see this valve, when we lift it, we can adjust it and watch the pressure go up, and that can determine the pressure that comes out through here, whatever pressure we want to set it at, and then we just push it down and lock it so it doesn't move. Now we're going to put the cover on, and I would not recommend running this without the cover. I just did this just to show it. And again, I'm going to let some air out, and you're going to hear this thing fire back up again as this automatic adjustable, the switch inside senses that the pressure is dropping, and when it reaches a certain point, it'll fire back up and restore that pressure. So there it goes. And there it kicked back on. So that's good. Okay, we're going to put the cover back on. So we've been able to finally fix this air compressor. This has taken me quite a while, and it was way more involved than I expected. I just thought it'd be this basic switch. But it's a good learning experience, and are things that you can do yourself. So if this is not turning off, you need to replace the switch. If it is bleeding air, you need to consider the non-return valve, which I wish I would have gone to first because that was the culprit. But also check the adjustment, the pressure adjustment, the nipple for the connection to your air hoses, and of course the tubing from the head of the air compressor. Be sure that's tight all the way into the body, as well as these meters, these pressure meters. So anyway, thank you. Again, Adventures with Dr. Joe. Please click subscribe. Please click like, and comments are very, very welcome and appreciated. And as always, stay safe. Thank you.